So, I finished Far Cry 5's campaign last night. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different because you might notice I'm not scripted right now, and there won't be any heavy editing or something. I just wanted to get thoughts out there and maybe have conversation with a couple people in the comments or something. But Far Cry 5's ending is the most awful, insulting waste of my fucking time I think I've ever seen in an ending to anything, a movie or a game, or at least as far as I can remember. For those who don't know, and obviously there's spoilers ahead, you should have noticed when I put ending in the title. Far Cry 5 is about defeating a cult led by the Seed family and their head, Joseph Seed. They're, your typical crazy, we know the end of the world, and we brainwash people with drugs and manipulation, and we kill babies and feed parents to their children, and awful shit. This is all awful shit they do. You can find notes about it in the game. So, you get these assholes monologuing to you constantly, and you're just, oh wow, I cannot wait to kill these motherfuckers. I can't wait. It's going to be so cathartic to finally put a bullet in these guys. And for the three lieutenants, Faith, Joseph, and John, Faith, Jacob, and John, that does happen. But then you get to the leader, the head guy. You've seen him on all the marketing. The guy with the sunglasses and the ponytail, Joseph Seed. When you go to confront him at the end of the game, you're given two options. You can either attempt to arrest him, not even kill him. Killing him, it's not even an option you get to select to kill him. You can either arrest him, or you can walk away. Walking away results in exactly what it sounds like. You walk away with the sheriff, who you came to town with, and then a song plays on the radio while you're in the car that triggers some brainwashing bullshit that had happened earlier in the game, and you kill the people who are with you in the car. And that's the ending. Now that's... people are dubbing that the bad ending. But I think you'll discover the real ending is much, much worse. The real ending is what happens when you select resist and attempt to arrest Joseph. And I can't... I feel like if you haven't seen this, you won't believe me when I tell you what happens. After having a final boss, which is a cool idea, where you have to turn your friends back to your side from the bliss, which is like the drug they're using to control people. You gun down Joseph, and he's perfectly fine, of course. It doesn't matter what the fuck you hit him with. He doesn't take any goddamn damage. He looks perfectly fine. You're standing there, not killing him, of course, not doing anything, because this is Far Cry, and every single one of these fucking games has to have long stretches of time where your retarded-ass protagonist stands around and does nothing. A nuclear bomb goes off in the background. In Hope County, in buttfuck Montana, a nuclear bomb goes off. So, again, of course you take Joseph with you into a car with all your buddies, and you have to drive away from the explosion. Which, while a cool sequence, is completely undercut by the ending that follows. More and more nukes start being set off as you continue. And during this fucking car section, the game doesn't seem to realize how anything about nuclear explosions or explosions of any kind work, where shit in front of you is like bursting into flames and exploding, but somehow you and your vehicle are in a perfect working state and there's no issues whatsoever. Which I can't even imagine where that begins to make any sense. And again, that fuels theories that this ending is some sort of hallucination, but Ubisoft came out and said that it wasn't. And eventually, regardless of how well you've driven or how you've played, you crash. Everyone in the car dies, except for you. And Joseph, of course, he's still alive. He comes back. Keep in mind, nuclear explosions have happened within visible distance of where you are. Okay? 3 of them. Joseph calmly walks over to the wrecked car, picks you up, and carries you all the way to the bunker you woke up in near the start of the game. He then explains to you how he was right the whole time, and you were a complete fucking moron for ever thinking that he could have possibly been incorrect. Then he says that you're his child now, and you'll rebirth the world when the nuclear fallout cools down. And then the game ends. And then the game ends. There's no post-credit scene. There's no hint at anything else. That is how the game ends. The game ends with you and this psycho motherfucker chained up in a bunker somewhere while World War III destroys the planet outside. This is the conclusion to a Far Cry game. A game that mainly consists of you getting in helicopters and blowing up cows outside of outposts, okay? This is a game where you run around with flamethrowers and, like, torch grain silos filled with fucking snipers. Like, this is not an ending for a game like this. This isn't an ending for any game, because it's fucking insulting. The thing about Far Cry 5's ending is, it seems at first like it leaves a lot of things up to chance and, like, possibility. Like, you could say it was a hallucination, or you could say maybe Joseph's just fucking crazy and somehow he got a nuke to just, you know, blow up Hope County. But both evidence in the game and an Ubisoft representative have come right out to say that that is incorrect. World War III happened. The world was destroyed. That is the plot of the video game. Your escapist entertainment ends with the worst possible thing that could happen to humanity. Isn't that so fucking uplifting? Don't you feel like you spent your well-earned $60 on that fucking ending and spent 40 hours saving these people and saving this county, only for the psycho over-religious nutjob to have been 100% correct the entire time? There are apparently radio messages that you can hear throughout the game that talk about how the world is in a terrible place and how nuclear war is inevitable. I did not hear any of these. I know 3 other people who have played the game and did not hear a single one of these. I have read dozens of forums online, on Reddit and other websites, about people who have not heard a single one of these messages. Maybe if you wanted this to be such a big part of your game that wouldn't feel like a goddamn random out of nowhere rocks fall everyone dies situation, you should have made it a little more fucking obvious. Ubisoft, you think? This is the problem with all the Far Cry games, really, is Ubisoft has this terrible habit. It's in Assassin's Creed 2, it's really in all their stuff, of thinking they're way fucking smarter than they actually are. And this is especially notable in Far Cry, with, like, especially all of their, like, drug trip, you have no free will, destiny bullshit that sounds like something a fucking 21-year-old college philosophy major fucking wrote. And I've always hated those parts of the Far Cry games, like the drug trip sections that make it try to seem like they're so fucking deep, but I put up with them because the rest of the game is fun. But in this game, it doesn't stop. This entire game is one of those drug trip sections. You're constantly... this happens in every area. At least 4 times every area. You are randomly knocked out while roaming the world to participate in some boring-ass, stupid monologue by whatever the fucking leader of the area is. And there's no way to avoid it, so you'll be in the middle of something. And so they're now literally pulling you out of your gameplay experience to shovel this bullshit into your face, only to have an ending where none of it matters. They try to tell you throughout the course of the game, like, oh, that this is coming. Like, you know, the idea that someone at Ubisoft offices said, man, wouldn't it be really fucking, like, just cool and deep if the psycho-religious cult was right the whole time? You weren't the hero, man. You brought the apocalypse. And, oh, go fuck yourself. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's just, like I said, it's just insulting to act like this is a reasonable way to end your escape. A nuclear holocaust is a reasonable way to end your escapist entertainment. And it's... God, I just have so much I want to say about this. The other Far Cry games have bad endings. I mean, Far Cry 2, I guess. It's a bad ending in that your character dies, but it is a good ending. Far Cry 3's ending has a good possible ending and an absolutely atrocious one, but that one's kind of obvious that that's not the path you should be taking, and you deserve what happens to you in Far Cry 3's ending. And Far Cry 4 has one of the... Both endings aren't great, but both endings don't end with the destruction of the planet and your main character's death. Now, you might be wondering, Far Cry 4 had another ending. And Far Cry 4's ending is absolutely fucking hilarious. And I love it. If you're unaware, Far Cry 4 has a secret ending. At the beginning of the game, the villain, Pagan Min, tells you to just... He shows no ill will towards you. Other people, sure, but he's very friendly to you, to the player character, to Ajay. And he says, "Oh, I have to get up and take care of something. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back, and then you can be on your way." If you actually sit around for 10 minutes and do not move, Pagan Min will return. You'll do what you came to Kyrat to do, and then the game ends. And that's it. That's hilarious. That's just a fun little side ending, and I really enjoyed that. And I think a lot of people really enjoyed that possibility, it seemed. Far Cry 5 has a similar ending, but completely misses the idea that the Far Cry 4's ending was an optional joke ending, not the best one. Far Cry 5 has a similar situation, where at the beginning of the game you can choose to either arrest Joseph Seed, or you can just let him go. If you just wait 2 minutes, you'll let him go, you'll leave the church, and the game ends. Which I think is Ubisoft trying to be clever again. Their message with this game really seems to be, you're a violent monster for killing all these people. And violence it's not the solution. The just leaving everything alone, leave well enough alone, seems to be the message of the game. Here's the thing. You don't get to have that message in a video game where your only option to do anything is to murder people and blow shit up. Far Cry is not the medium for us to be exploring pacifism. And like I said, the fact that Joseph tells you in the beginning of the game to walk away, and the endings and everything that happens in them, means that he was 100% correct. That everything you had chalked up to a hallucination or a coincidence is completely incorrect. Joseph is the prophet of God. Joseph does have magical powers. Joseph can see the future. Choking on my own rage here, but and to expect me to believe that. Far Cry is not a super realistic game series. Far Cry usually has at least one supernatural element in each game, but the rest of it is fairly grounded in our reality. But now to tell me that not only does some kind of vengeful god exist in the Far Cry universe, but that there's literally a man walking around who has been given superpowers by said god, that's just too much for you to expect me to accept from a Far Cry game. And I just want to make sure I get everything out I need to say about this, because this was... I felt so fucking cheated and depressed when I got this ending. Like, what a fucking... Not just a downer, but like an insult. And like, such a fucking it's such a we're smarter than you ending. Like, we were right the whole time. You really shouldn't have killed anyone, man. You should have just left them eating babies and burning people alive and ripping their skin off, man. Don't you see? I feel like it's not that the things that Far Cry 5 attempts to do story-wise are inherently bad. It's just that the gameplay and the story they're trying to tell have such a wide disconnect that there's no relation to them whatsoever. And it just makes you feel like an idiot. Like, if this was like Metal Gear, I guess, like Metal Gear 5, and there was an option for you to only, like, knock people out, like, only passively, like, neutralize people rather than murdering everyone, maybe I'd understand where this ending comes from. But then there would also need to be a better possible ending where everyone doesn't die because you did that. And that's really all we can hope for Far Cry 5 at this point, is some kind of... is the DLC to do something, or maybe some kind of Mass Effect 3 updated thing where maybe if you get 100% you can get a better ending or something like that. That's all we could really hope for at this point, unfortunately. Here's the thing, and the reason I think getting another ending is somewhat plausible is that when you complete the game and you... I don't have it here to show to you, because I'm playing on a different file. But when you complete the game, and after you get that ending, if you return to the game, you can go over to Joseph's region, and he'll be X'd out, and it'll say that you defeated him and saved Hope County. Despite the fact that that is demonstrably false. That's not what happens. So that leads me to think one of two things. Either there's going to be... the DLC that comes out will somehow change the ending or offer an alternative ending. Or, and this is the one I'm thinking more and more as a likely possibility, there was a normal ending at some point. Hear me out on this. How could a AAA studio like Ubisoft possibly think that such a downer, depressing, screw you ending being the only option was okay? So what this feels like to me is this was going to have the nuke ending was supposed to be a bad ending, and there was some kind of more, maybe not good, but at least more positive ending where the world doesn't end and you don't die. And somehow that was removed at some point in development and was replaced with the nuke ending. And that's all that I can think. It's the only way I can rationalize this terrible ending in my head, is that there's a good ending on file somewhere that isn't in the game at this point. That's all I can fucking think of. Nothing else makes any sense to me. So that's just sort of... That's my hope. That's my thoughts on the Far Cry 5 ending, and I'd love to talk to you guys about it. I've never felt so insulted by a game ending before, and I'm just curious if anyone else felt, if you guys felt the same way about this, because I cannot stop thinking about this fucking ending. I mean, if that was their objective, they fucking nailed it, because I can't stop thinking about this fucking ending. I've been thinking about it all. I thought about it all last night. I've been thinking about it all day. It's just unbelievable and awful in so many ways. I really think it's the worst video game ending of all time. If you could think of, again, discussion, if you could think of a worse one, go ahead and put it in the comments, because I honestly can't think of one that's worse than this. So that's it for today, guys. I have a more proper, big, edited, scripted video coming out soon, so don't worry about that. I won't it won't be something like this where I just babble incoherently into a microphone while I play a game. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that shit. I appreciate that, and have a great day.